The heat outside could have cooked flesh on stone, but the council room held the cool breath of marble and shade. Water murmured somewhere behind carved screens, a soft sound meant to soothe, meant to remind men that Dorne was not only sand and steel. Failed. The air in the room was sharp with ink and sweat, and the faint metallic tang of old grief stirred back to life. Prince Doran Martell sat at the head of the table, hands resting neatly, posture composed as if his body did not ache in a dozen places at once. His chair creaked when he shifted, the smallest complaint from wood under the weight of duty. Around him, the lords of Dorne gathered like a ring of spears, some eager, some cautious, all listening. Oberyn Martell did not sit. He never did when he was angry. He paced in a small circle like a caged cat, his spear laid across his knees when he paused, fingers tapping its shaft in a restless rhythm. Every so often his gaze flicked to the maps spread across the table. The Boneway, the Prince's Pass, the long roads that led north and the sea routes that could be choked with ships and bribes. Arianne Martell stood behind her father's chair, hands braced against the wood, dark eyes fierce. She looked as if she could snap the room in half with sheer will. Arianne Hoda waited in stillness, his great axe upright, the blade catching lamplight. He watched Oberyn with the steady gaze of a man who had been trained to see danger before it moved. Ellaria Sand lingered near the wall, arms folded, face calm only because she forced it to be. The sand snakes were behind her like different shapes of the same storm. Obara hard and hungry, Nymeria measuring every word, Tywin serene in a way that made men uneasy. Doran broke the silence first, voice soft, almost gentle. "We cannot afford to confuse anger with strategy." Oberyn's laugh came out sharp. "And we cannot afford to confuse strategy with waiting until our bones are dust." A murmur moved through the lords. Some nodded, others frowned, glancing toward Doran as if afraid to agree too loudly with the Red Viper in his own brother's hall. Doran's eyes remained on Oberyn. "Gregor Clegane's confession changes much," he admitted. "But it does not change the reality that the Iron Throne commands more men than we do. Men who do not want to die," Oberyn said. "Men who were told our sister's blood was the cost of doing business." Doran's jaw tightened slightly. "It changes, too, that the confession was spoken in public. The realm heard. That is our leverage. But leverage must be used properly, or it snaps and strikes the hand holding it." Arianne's voice cut in, impatient. "Properly," she echoed. "Properly means we stop begging for scraps. Properly means we act while the wound is open." Doran's gaze softened toward his daughter for half a heartbeat, then hardened again. "Properly," he said, "means we give the realm a reason to stand with us, even if they fear the Lannisters." Nymeria Sand leaned forward slightly, smile faint. "A reason beyond vengeance." "Law," Doran replied. "Legitimacy. A banner others can pretend to follow for honor rather than fear." Oberyn's eyes glinted. Myrcella Baratheon. The name landed like a stone. The room held its breath as if the girl herself had walked in. Doran nodded once. "Myrcella Baratheon is our shield. By Dornish law, she has a claim stronger than her brothers. If we proclaim her, we do not march as rebels. We march as defenders of inheritance and justice." A lord near the far end of the table, older, sun-weathered, shifted uneasily. "And the crown will call it treason." "The crown calls everything treason when it does not like it," Oberyn snapped. "Let them choke on the word. Treason is a convenient song when you are guilty." Arianne Hoda's eyes flicked toward Oberyn. Not disapproval, only caution. A prince's rage could inspire men, could also ignite them into ash. Doran gestured toward the maps. "We close the passes," he said. "We take control of every road that leads into our land. No crown force enters without bleeding for every step." Obara Sand's smile widened. Finally, Doran's eyes moved to her. "And we do not waste lives chasing glory," he added. "We make them pay for trying to come to us." Arianne's fingers tightened on the chair. "When do we proclaim her?" Doran looked down at the parchment in his hand. "The confession, still smelling faintly of wax and travel. "Soon," he said, "but not before we prepare. Before we speak, we must ensure we can endure what speaking brings." Oberyn stepped closer, leaning over the table. "Preparation is another word for delay," he said, voice low. "And delay is another word for letting Tywin bury this." Doran's gaze rose slowly. In it was the patient iron that had kept Dorne alive through centuries of storms. "Tywin Lannister will try to bury it regardless," he said. "Our task is to make the grave too shallow." Illyria's voice slipped in, quiet but firm. "They tried to kill Oberyn in King's Landing." Arianne's head snapped toward her. "They did." Oberyn's smile returned, grim. "A boy with a dagger," he said. "Cersei's scent all over it." A low growl moved through the room. Even the cautious lords looked outraged at that, because hospitality was a sacred thing in Dorne, and betrayal under a guest's roof was a sin Dorne did not forget. Doran's fingers curled on the arm of his chair. "Then we assume every messenger carries poison," he said, "and every gift carries a blade." Tyene Sand tilted her head, eyes bright. "And if they send poison," she murmured, "we send it back." Doran's gaze returned to the table. "We send ravens tonight," he said, "to every Dornish house, to every bannerman, to every captain. We raise our spears." Oberyn's hand settled on the spear at last, stilling. "And to King's Landing?" he asked. Doran's smile was thin, almost sorrowful. "To King's Landing," he agreed. "We will tell them what we heard. We will tell them what we intend." Arianne's voice was fierce, triumphant. "Open war." Doran closed his eyes briefly, as if tasting the bitter medicine of the words. Then he opened them again, and the room felt colder for it. "Open war," he confirmed. Oberyn's grin sharpened. "Good," he said softly. "Let the realm learn the cost of Martell blood." The war did not begin with swords. It began with ink. Maester Caliot's fingers were stained black as he wrote, his quill scratching steadily, filling parchment with words that would become blades. He sat hunched over the table, listening to Doran's measured voice, pausing only when a sentence needed to be sharpened or softened like a dagger's edge. "To Lord Ironwood," Doran dictated, eyes fixed on the middle distance. "The time for silence has ended. We call you to Sunspear. We call your spears to the passes." Arianne pressed her seal into wax with practiced precision. Each stamp was final. Each stamp was a door closing behind them. Oberyn stood over the map with Obara, his finger tracing the Boneway. "Here," he said, tapping a narrow stretch between jagged ridges. "We break them here. We let them think the road is clear. Then we make it a coffin." Obara's grin was wolfish. "And the prince's pass?" Oberyn's eyes flicked their next. "Traps," he said. "Rocks. Fire. No open battle unless we choose it." Nymeria drifted near the ravens, her voice smooth as oil. "And the sea," she murmured. "The crown will try to choke us with ships." Doran's gaze shifted toward her. "They will," he agreed. "So we prepare our own captains. We buy what ships we can. We secure what ports we must." Tyene's smile was serene. "And if they send envoys," she said softly, "we listen, and we smile, and we learn what they fear." Ariohoda's eyes moved briefly to the sand snakes, then back to the door. He did not speak. His silence was the kind that had kept princes alive. When the letters were finished, they lay stacked like neatly folded shrouds. Caliot wiped his brow. "And to the Iron Throne?" he asked, voice careful. Doran took the confession parchment and held it for a long moment. He could still see the words even without reading them, could still hear the rasp of Gregor Clegane's dying voice through his brother's retelling. "Yes," Doran said at last. "To the Iron Throne." He dictated slowly, every word chosen like a stone set into a wall. "To His Grace King Tommen of House Baratheon," he began. "We write not as traitors, but as kin by blood and law. We remind you that Myrcella Baratheon, your sister, resides under our protection. We remind you of Dornish inheritance. We remind you of justice owed. Arianne's gaze burned with satisfaction. Oberyn's smile was thin and dangerous. And to Lord Tywin Lannister, Doran continued, and the room seemed to still around the name. We remind you that men confessed in your hall, that your dog spoke before he died, that Arianne Martell's murder is not forgotten. Caliot hesitated only a fraction, then wrote it. Oberyn leaned forward, voice low. Tell him, he urged. Tell him we will not accept gold in place of blood. Doran's eyes did not leave the parchment. We tell him, he said, that Dorne will pursue justice by law where possible, and by spear where necessary. Obara's laugh was soft. He will hear spear, she murmured. He will hear whatever terrifies him most, Nymeria replied. When the last wax seal cooled, Doran looked up at Oberyn. You will ride, he said. Oberyn's eyes gleamed. Yes, you will not chase glory, Doran warned, voice gentle but firm. You will not throw yourself into a trap because your blood sings. Oberyn's smile tightened. My blood has been singing for years, he said. I will make it a song the realm cannot ignore. Doran's gaze held him. In that gaze was a brother's love and a prince's command, braided together. Bring me victories, Doran said, not funerals. Oberyn inclined his head slightly, just enough. As you wish. He turned then, cloak snapping, and for a moment Arianne watched him with something like pride and fear tangled together. She knew what her uncle was, the sharpest blade in Dorne's hand, and the most likely to cut its owner. Outside, ravens screamed as cages were carried toward the rookery. The birds sensed the storm in the air, felt it in the tremble of human hands. War, Doran thought, was already flying north on black wings. The raven arrived in King's Landing like a bad omen dressed as courtesy. Tywin Lannister read the seal before he broke it, as if the wax itself could tell him how much trouble the words inside would be. The sun and spear was pressed into red wax, bright as fresh blood. Cersei paced behind him, her footsteps sharp on stone. What do they want? She demanded. Gold? Apologies? They should be grateful we allowed that snake into our hall at all. Jaime stood near the window, arms folded, gaze distant. Tommen sat too stiff in his chair, hands small on the table, eyes flicking between his mother and his grandfather like a trapped rabbit watching wolves argue over which way to tear it. Mace Tyrell dabbed his brow dramatically with a cloth. This heat, he complained, as if weather were the true enemy. Marjorie Tyrell's expression did not change. She watched the room the way she watched court, as a player watching a board. Varys sat with his hands folded, mild as ever, eyes bright with silent amusement. Tywin opened the parchment and read. His face remained stone, but the air in the room tightened as if the words were pulling strings. When he finished, he set it down with slow precision. Cersei snatched for it. Tywin's hand lifted a fraction, stopping her without touching her. She froze, fury trembling under her skin. What does he say? Cersei hissed. He says, Tywin replied, voice calm, that Dorne intends to test the realm's stomach for war. Mace Tyrell chuckled nervously. Surely Prince Doran would not be so foolish, he said. Dorne is sun and sand. They cannot stand against the might of the crown. Jaime's mouth tightened. You've never fought in the passes, he muttered. Tywin's gaze flicked toward his son, cold. Jaime looked away, jaw clenched. Tommen spoke then, voice small. Myrcella, he said. They said, they have Myrcella. Cersei's head snapped toward him, eyes blazing. They stole her, she spat, and the lie was so quick it almost convinced even her. They stole her from me. Varys's soft voice slipped into the silence like a knife wrapped in velvet. They have had Princess Myrcella for quite some time, he said gently. Under the crown's own agreement, if I recall. Cersei's eyes narrowed. Do not correct me, she snapped. Tywin ignored her. They speak of inheritance, he said. They speak of law. Marjorie's gaze sharpened slightly. Dornish law, she murmured. Tywin nodded once. Dornish law, he agreed. And they speak of a confession. Cersei's face went pale with rage. That brute's dying words mean nothing, she said. Poison makes men babble. Oberyn's poison. Perhaps, Tywin replied. His tone suggested he did not care about truth, only consequence. Mace Tyrell leaned forward, eyes wide. Surely they cannot be mad enough to proclaim Myrcella, he said. Varys' smile was faint. Madness is often mistaken for courage, he murmured. Tywin's gaze settled on Varys. They will not proclaim her if we return her, he said. Cersei's laugh was harsh. Return her? She repeated. And let that Dornish whore take her place? Never. Tywin's eyes did not move. You do not decide, he said quietly. Cersei stiffened as if struck. Her hands curled into fists. She is my daughter, she hissed. My blood. She is a piece, Tywin replied, and the words were colder than any slap. And pieces are moved. Tommen's eyes filled. Please, he whispered, and no one listened. Jaime's voice came rough. If you try to take her by force, you'll get her killed. Cersei turned on him. And if we do nothing, they will crown her, she snapped. They will put my daughter on a throne made of sand and expect the realm to kneel. Tywin's fingers tapped the table once. We will send an envoy, he said. We will demand her return. We will offer terms. And if they refuse? Mace asked, voice tight. Tywin's gaze went to the window where storm clouds gathered over the city. Then we remind them, he said softly, that the realm's patience is not infinite. Cersei leaned in, voice low, venomous. We should kill her, she whispered. If Myrcella dies, their claim dies with her. A hush fell. Even Mace Tyrell stopped fanning. Jaime's face went white. No, he said, and it was the first time in a long time he had sounded like a man rather than a weapon. Tywin's eyes narrowed slightly. We will not kill Myrcella, he said, not out of mercy, but out of calculation. Not yet. Cersei's breath came fast. Then kill Oberyn, she snarled. Kill Doran. Burn Sunspear. Do something. Tywin's gaze drifted to the door. Kevin, he called. Kevin Lannister entered quietly, as if he had been waiting in the corridor all along. Tywin did not need to raise his voice. Prepare letters, Tywin instructed. Call banners quietly. Speak to the fleet. Speak to the faith. Speak to Highgarden. Kevin bowed. And the envoy? He asked. Tywin's eyes were cold. Send a man who can speak with courtesy and carry steel, he said. Send Ser Balon Swann if he is in the south. And prepare other measures. Varys' eyes glinted briefly. He understood what other measures meant in Tywin's mouth. Bribes, threats, assassins, hunger. Cersei's lips curled. I will handle the other measures, she murmured. Jaime watched her, and in his eyes was dread. Outside, thunder rolled faintly. The city smelled of rain and rot. Tywin Lannister folded the parchment again, as if folding the future into something manageable. Dorne wants open war, he said. We will give them consequences. And somewhere far south, in sunlit halls that smelled of orange blossoms and old blood, Dorne was already preparing to make those consequences bleed. Myrcella stared at the little crown as if it might bite. It was not the grand thing she had worn once at court when her hair had been braided by servants and her smile had been practiced like a prayer. This crown was Dornish, lighter, more delicate, shaped like sun rays rather than towers. It looked almost kind. Arianne sat beside her on a cushioned bench, close enough that their shoulders nearly touched. Her voice was soft, coaxing, and yet there was iron beneath it, because Arianne Martell was not asking Myrcella to choose a dress. She was asking her to step onto a knife's edge. Trystane lingered by the window, hands clasped behind his back, jaw tense. He looked as if he wanted to be anywhere else in the world and yet could not abandon her. Oberyn leaned against a column, arms folded, watching with the stillness of a predator observing a fragile creature that might either flee or harden into something dangerous. You're frightened, Arianne said gently. Myrcella's eyes did not leave the crown. "Everyone keeps saying that like it's a surprise," she whispered. Arianne's lips curved faintly. "Fear is not weakness," she said. "Fear is knowledge. It tells you what matters." Myrcella swallowed. "And this matters," she said, voice shaking. "And I don't understand why it has to be me." Tristane's voice came rough. "Because you are kind," he said quietly, "and there was something wounded in it. And the realm punishes kindness by using it." Myrcella looked at him, eyes shining. "Tristane," Arianne cut in gently, guiding her back. "Because you are the elder," she said. "Because in Dorne, the elder inherits. Because your mother's court has built itself on ignoring anything that does not serve it." Myrcella's breath hitched at the mention of her mother. "My mother isn't," she began, then stopped, because even she could not finish the lie. Arianne's hand covered hers. "You love your brother," Arianne said softly, "and you do not want to harm him. I believe you." Myrcella nodded quickly, tears threatening. "I don't," she whispered. "I don't want war. I don't want anyone hurt. I just want to go home." Tristane finished, voice low. Myrcella's face crumpled slightly. "Yes," she admitted. Oberyn pushed off the column and stepped forward, and the air in the room shifted. He did not sit. He stood over them like a shadow cast by something larger than the room. "Home," Oberyn said, tasting the word. "King's Landing is not a home, little lioness. It is a cage made of gold and teeth." Myrcella flinched. "Don't call me that," she whispered. Oberyn's gaze sharpened, then softened a fraction. "Very well," he said. "Myrcella." He crouched slightly to bring himself nearer her height, but the movement was not gentle so much as deliberate. "You did not choose this," he said. "None of us chose the blood we were born into, but blood follows you. It clings. It stains." Myrcella's eyes flicked to Arianne, desperate. "If I do this," she whispered, "my mother will hate me." Arianne's voice was quiet. "Your mother already hates anyone she cannot control." Myrcella's breath caught. "And Tommen?" she pleaded. Tristane stepped forward, unable to stay by the window any longer. "Tommen will be told whatever they want him to believe," he said. "And if they keep telling him long enough, he will believe it." Myrcella's tears spilled. "I don't want him to be afraid of me," she whispered. Oberyn's voice was low, almost gentle. "Then write to him," he said. "Tell him the truth. Tell him you are not his enemy. Tell him you are being used, as he is being used." Myrcella looked up, blinking. "Will it help?" she asked. Oberyn's smile was thin. "It may not," he admitted, "but it will be yours. One thing that is yours." Arianne squeezed her hand. "We will protect you," she promised. "In Dorne, you will not be alone." Myrcella looked at the crown again. It seemed heavier now, not in weight but in meaning. "If I say yes," she whispered, "people will die." Arianne's eyes did not flinch. "People are already dying," she said softly. "They die in wars started by men who never look at the bodies. If we do nothing, Tywin Lannister will keep doing what he has always done. Killing quietly, burying truth, starving anyone who stands against him." Myrcella's lips trembled. "But why does Dorne care?" she whispered, and the question was not accusation. It was confusion. "Why would you risk everything for this?" Oberyn's eyes went distant for a moment. "Because my sister died screaming," he said, voice flat with old pain. "Because her children died with her. Because the realm shrugged and called it politics." Myrcella's breath hitched. She had heard whispers. She had never heard it spoken like that. Arianne's voice softened again. "Because justice matters," she said. Myrcella stared at the crown until her tears blurred it into gold smears. Then she reached out with trembling fingers and touched it. It was cool against her skin. She drew a shaky breath. "I will write to Tommen," she said. "And if you swear you will not let my mother take me alone." Arianne nodded instantly. "I swear." Tristane's eyes shone. "I swear," he echoed. Oberyn's smile returned, sharp. "I swear," he said, and in his voice was the quiet promise of violence. Myrcella's fingers closed around the crown, lifting it slightly. Her shoulders straightened. Not much, but enough to change her shape from child to something forced toward adulthood. Arianne watched her, pride and pity tangled together. Outside, somewhere in the palace, a horn sounded faintly, the signal of riders arriving, of messages flowing, of war's heartbeat quickening. Myrcella held the crown and whispered, almost to herself, "I don't want to be brave." Arianne leaned close. "No one does," she murmured. "That's why it matters when you are." Oberyn left Sunspear at dawn, when the sky was still pale and the air briefly held a coolness that would not last. The sand was firm under hooves, the smell of salt fading behind them as the land hardened into rock and scrub. His riders were men who did not need speeches. They knew why they rode. They had sisters and daughters and mothers who had been told to forget Elaya's name. They had grown up watching Dorne bow its head to keep its neck from being cut. Now their heads were up. Oberyn rode on his left, spear upright, eyes bright with hunger. Nymeria rode on his right, her expression composed, her gaze scanning the canyon walls for movement. "You could have stayed," Nymeria said lightly, as if this were a hunt for deer instead of a step into open war. "And let someone else write the first line in blood?" Oberyn replied, smiling. Oberyn snorted. "Let me," she said. "I'll write it big enough for King's Landing to read." Oberyn's smile sharpened. "Big is not always better," he said. "We want them afraid, not united." Oberyn's eyes narrowed. "Fear unites them too." Nymeria's lips curved faintly. "Not if fear makes them blame each other," she murmured. Ahead, the canyon opened into a narrow road that wound north toward the Stormlands. Scouts had brought word of a supply column, wagons carrying grain and salt pork, escorted by Lannister men and sellswords hired with gold that smelled of Casterly rock. Oberyn lifted a hand. The riders slowed, slipping into positions along the rock walls, bows ready, spears angled. They waited in silence as the column approached. The sound came first. The creak of wheels, the soft clink of armor, the low mutter of men complaining about heat. Then they appeared, wagons heavy, horses sweating, soldiers trudging with heads down. Oberyn watched them like a man watching fish swim into shallow water. He signaled. Arrows dropped from above like sudden rain. The first man fell with a sound that was more surprise than pain. Another screamed as an arrow punched into his throat. A horse reared, panicked, pulling a wagon sideways. The column stumbled into chaos in heartbeats. Oberyn's riders surged down the slope, spears driving, hooves pounding dust into the air. The Lannister men tried to form a line, but the canyon stole space and time. They were trapped between rock and fear. Oberyn did not hack wildly. He picked targets. Commanders, men shouting orders, men who looked steady enough to rally others. His spear moved like a snake, precise, lethal, withdrawing before anyone could grab it. A sellsword with a scarred face lunged at him with an axe. Oberyn leaned aside and drove the spearhead into the man's shoulder, twisting, then kicking him down into the dirt. He did not finish him. He left him alive to crawl, to moan, to remember. Nymeria rode through the mess like a blade through cloth, her whip cracking, her men taking prisoners rather than slaughtering all. Oberyn laughed as she fought, joy bright and dangerous. Within minutes, the column was broken. Wagons stood abandoned, one was splintered, grain spilling into dust like pale sand. Men lay bleeding, some dead, some writhing. Oberyn dismounted and walked among them, cloak snapping lightly in the canyon wind. He stopped beside a man in Lannister colors who tried to crawl away, leaving a trail of blood. "Please," the man rasped, eyes wild. Oberyn crouched. "Who sent you?" he asked, though he already knew. The man swallowed hard. "Lord Tywin," he whispered. "The gold." Oberyn's smile was thin. "Tell him," he said softly, "that his gold buys less in Dorne." The man's eyes darted. "You'll kill me," he whispered. Oberyn looked at him for a long moment. "No," he said. "You will live." The man blinked, disbelief flooding him. "You will go north," Oberyn continued, voice low, intimate. "You will tell your comrades that Dorne does not fight like they do. You will tell them that every road into our land is a throat, and we have hands around it." The man nodded frantically, tears mixing with dust. Oberyn stood. He gestured, and Nymeria's men hauled the prisoner upright. They bound his hands, not gently. They gave him water, not kindly. Mercy was not the point. Message was. Obara rode up, blood on her spearhead, grin wide. "Let me take their tongues," she offered. Oberyn's eyes glittered. "No," he said. "Let their fear speak for them." He turned toward the wagons. "Burn what we don't take," he ordered. Flames rose soon after, licking at wood, smoke twisting into the bright sky. The scent of burning grain carried on the wind, heading north like a warning. Oberyn watched the smoke and felt the realm's attention turning, slowly, inevitably, toward the south. Let them look, he thought. Let them see what happens when Dorne stops whispering. The Boneway was a cruel road. It did not merely cut through mountains. It felt like the mountains had closed around it, squeezing travelers between stone ribs. Sound carried oddly there. Boots too loud, voices too sharp. Men felt watched even when no eyes were visible. Oberyn met Hoda at a ridge overlooking the narrowest throat of it, where the road dipped and twisted and gave no room to spread into formation. Ario's presence was a comfort, not because he was warm, but because he was certain. His great axe rested on his shoulder as if it weighed nothing. "You should be in Sunspear," Ario said, voice flat. "And leave you all the fun?" Oberyn replied, though his eyes were serious. Ario's gaze did not soften. "You are too valuable to lose." Oberyn's smile was sharp. "Value is a northern idea," he said. "In Dorne, we speak of honor." Ario's eyes flicked toward him. "Honor is also something men use to excuse foolish deaths." Oberyn's laugh was quiet. "Then we will be honorable without being foolish." Below them, Dornish archers lay hidden among rocks and scrub, bows wrapped to keep strings from drying too fast in the heat. Men crouched beside ropes tied around boulders, ready to cut them loose. Others waited in shadowed cracks with spears angled down. They were patient. They had learned patience from Doran, whether they liked it or not. A scout slipped up to Oberyn, breath quick. "They're coming," he murmured. "A small party. Red cloaks." Oberyn's gaze sharpened. He could see them soon enough, Lannister men moving cautiously, not yet an army, but a probing hand. They wore red, dust-stained. Their helmets gleamed dully. A banner fluttered, limp in the stale air between cliffs. "Let them enter," Oberyn whispered. The men below did not move. Silence became a weapon. The Lannister party advanced, slow. One man lifted his visor to wipe sweat from his brow. Another muttered a complaint about heat. Their leader, a knight by his posture, his armor more polished, raised a hand signaling caution. He had instincts. Instincts were not enough. When the last of them stepped into the throat, Oberyn lifted 2 fingers. A rope was cut. The first boulder rolled, slow at first, then faster, gaining cruel speed. It thundered down the slope into the road with a roar like the mountain itself waking. The Lannister men shouted, scattering, but there was nowhere to scatter. Stone walls hemmed them in. The boulder struck the front of the party, crushing 2 men instantly, smashing a horse into the wall. Screams ricocheted, then arrows fell. They came from above, invisible, biting into exposed throats and gaps in armor. Men dropped. The red cloaks became sudden patches of darker red. The knight shouted orders, trying to rally, trying to form a shield wall. He raised his sword and pointed toward the cliff, as if steel could cut stone. Oberyn watched him with a predator's calm. "He's trying," he murmured. Ario's voice was flat. "Trying does not save him." Oberyn signaled again. Spearmen surged from shadowed cracks, darting down to finish what stone and arrows began. They moved like water in a narrow channel, flowing around the trapped men, striking with precision. Oberyn did not descend. He did not need to. This was not about personal glory. This was about teaching the Crown's men that Dorne's roads belonged to Dorne. When it was over, silence returned quickly. The surviving Lannister men were few, 3, perhaps 4. Dragged to their knees, hands bound, faces pale with shock. Oberyn finally walked down, boots crunching gravel. He stopped before the knight, who knelt with sweat and blood on his brow. The knight glared up, defiant despite fear. "This is treason," he spat. Oberyn smiled. "This is geography," he replied. The knight's jaw clenched. "The lion will come with an army," he hissed. "He will burn you out." Oberyn crouched, spear tip resting lightly under the knight's chin, forcing him to hold still. "Tell the lion," Oberyn said softly, "that Dorne does not burn easily." He withdrew the spear and stood. "Send him back," he instructed. "Let him carry his own terror north." Areo watched him, expression unreadable. "You enjoy this," he observed. Oberyn's smile did not reach his eyes. "I enjoy," he said quietly, "that they finally feel what we have felt for years." As the prisoners were hauled away and the corpses were stripped of useful gear, the heat returned like a blanket. Flies gathered. The mountain road drank blood into dust. Oberyn looked north, toward the unseen capital. Let Tywin count bodies, he thought. Let him realize that every count will be paid in full. The first gift arrived under a banner of courtesy. A hooded messenger came to Sunspear's outer gate at dusk with a sealed box and honeyed words. He claimed it was from King Tommen, a token of love for his sister, something to comfort Princess Myrcella in her southern exile. His tone was humble. His hands shook just enough to look convincing. The guards brought him through the outer courtyard. The box was lacquered, ornate, too fine for a simple messenger. It smelled faintly of perfume and wax. Nymeria Sand watched from the shade, head tilted, eyes bright. "They're quick," she murmured. Tyene stood beside her, serene as a sept statue, fingers wrapped around a small vial hidden in her sleeve. "They're desperate," she corrected. The messenger was escorted toward the inner halls where Arianne patrolled like death in white, his gaze fixed on the box as if he could see through wood. "What is it?" Arianne asked. "A gift," the messenger said quickly. "From the king." Arianne's voice was flat. "The king does not send gifts through strangers." The messenger swallowed. I was paid." Nymeria drifted forward, smile polite. "By whom?" she asked sweetly. The messenger's eyes darted, panicked. "By a man," he stammered. "A man with a lion ring." Tyene's smile remained gentle. "And you didn't think that might be dangerous?" she asked softly. The messenger's throat bobbed. "I need coin," he whispered. Nymeria's smile vanished. "So do we," she said, and there was ice in it. "But we don't sell children." Arianne lifted a hand. Guards seized the messenger, pinning him. He struggled for a heartbeat, then sagged, weeping. Tyene stepped closer, voice quiet. "Open it," she instructed. A guard hesitated, then began to pry the lacquered lid. The hinges creaked. The smell that rose was sweet and wrong, like flowers left too long in heat. Inside lay a doll, beautifully made, golden hair, blue glass eyes. Around its neck was a thin necklace of pearls. Myrcella's favorite, Nymeria thought. Someone in King's Landing had been watching closely. Tyene's eyes narrowed. She leaned in and sniffed the pearls. Her expression did not change, but her gaze sharpened. "Poison," she said calmly. "Not on the doll, on the string." Arianne's jaw tightened. "For her fingers," he murmured. "For her lips," Tyene corrected softly. "She would touch it, then she would touch her mouth. She would be dead before dawn." Nymeria's eyes flashed with cold fury. "Cersei," she whispered. Tyene's voice stayed serene. "Or Tywin," she said. "Or both. Lions share teeth." The messenger sobbed harder, face pressed to marble. "I didn't know," he babbled. "I swear I didn't know." Nymeria crouched beside him, voice low. "You will live," she said, and the words made him look up with sudden hope until he saw her eyes. "You will live," she repeated. Long enough to carry a message back. The messenger trembled. A message. Tywin lifted the vial in her sleeve slightly, letting him glimpse it. "A taste," she murmured. "So you understand what you tried to deliver." Nymeria's smile returned, thin and cruel. "No," she decided. "Not a taste. A story." She stood and looked at Areo. "Send ravens," she said. "Tell every lord in Dorne that the crown tried to poison Myrcella Baratheon under a banner of love." Areo Hoda's eyes were steady. "It will inflame them." Nymeria's smile sharpened. "Good." Tywin glanced toward the corridor that led to Myrcella's chambers. "Increase her guard," she said. "No gifts. No visitors without inspection. No sweet words from the north." Areo nodded once and turned to issue orders. Nymeria leaned close to the messenger again, voice soft. "You will go back to King's Landing," she said. "You will find whoever paid you, and you will tell them this. Dorne knows." The messenger's eyes were wild. "They'll kill me," he whispered. Nymeria's expression was almost sympathetic. "Perhaps," she said. "But if you stay here, Obara will kill you. So choose which death you prefer." The messenger choked on a sob. Tywin watched him, serene. "Tell them," she added softly, "that poison is not a language they speak alone." When the messenger was dragged away, the doll remained on the marble floor like a pale accusation. Nymeria stared at it for a long moment. "They'll try again," she murmured. Tywin's smile was gentle. "Let them," she replied. "Every attempt is another confession." Outside, the sun sank. The palace's shadows lengthened. And in Myrcella Baratheon's chamber, a girl who did not want to be brave sat at a desk and wrote a letter to her brother with trembling hands, unaware how close death had come wrapped in pearls. The proclamation was held at midday, when the sun was merciless and the shadows beneath banners were the only relief. Sunspear's courtyard filled with people. Lords in bright silks, soldiers in leather and mail, small folk pressed close behind guards, faces lifted, squinting into light. They had come because they had heard whispers. They had come because Dorne was changing, and people always came to watch change, even when it was dangerous. Myrcella Baratheon stood on the raised platform, crown on her head, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles were white. She wore gold and pale orange, colors that made her look like a piece of sunlight that had wandered south and become trapped in ceremony. Arianne stood beside her, calm and radiant, one hand near Myrcella's elbow as if offering silent support. Doran sat behind them, expression composed, eyes heavy with a sorrow that never left him. Oberyn stood to the side, spear upright, his presence like a sharpened exclamation point. When the murmurs settled, Doran raised a hand. His voice carried despite its softness. "People of Dorne," he said, "lords and ladies, captains and merchants, mothers and sons." The courtyard stilled. Even the sea wind seemed to pause. "We have endured," Doran continued. "We have been told to accept what was done to our blood. We have been told to forget. We have been told that justice is a luxury we cannot afford." A low growl moved through the crowd. Faces tightened, hands clenched. Doran's eyes moved to Myrcella. "Today," he said, "we speak of law. In Dorne, the elder child inherits. This is our custom. This is our honor." Myrcella swallowed, eyes shining. She stared out at the crowd as if afraid she might fall into it. Arianne's voice came next, clear and strong. "Myrcella Baratheon," she said, "daughter of Robert Baratheon and Cersei Lannister, sister to King Tommen, has been under our protection. She has been treated as kin. She has been kept safe." A murmur ran through the people at the word safe, as if it were now a challenge. Arianne lifted her chin. "By Dornish law," she declared. "Her claim is unquestionable." Myrcella's breath trembled. She looked at Doran, then at Arianne, then at Oberyn. Oberyn's gaze held hers for a heartbeat. Steady, fierce, promising protection that might look like blood. Myrcella stepped forward. Her voice, when it came, was small at first, but it grew stronger as she forced it. "I do not want war," she said, and the honesty startled the courtyard into an even deeper silence. "I do not want my brother hurt. I do not want my mother hurt." Arianne's hand hovered near her elbow, ready to catch her if she faltered. Myrcella drew a shaky breath. "But I have seen what the court does," she continued, voice trembling. "I have seen lies. I have seen men hurt because it is convenient." She looked down, then up again. "I will not be used to hurt Dorne," she said, "and I will not be used to hide what was done to Princess Arianne Martell." The name hit the courtyard like a spark. People murmured, some weeping, some snarling. Doran's voice returned, calm and iron. "We proclaim," he said, "that Myrcella Baratheon stands as rightful heir by Dornish law. We proclaim that Dorne will defend her claim and her life." The courtyard erupted, not into chaos, but into a fierce, unified sound. Spears lifted, hands rose, people shouted Myrcella's name, then Elias, then Dorne's. Oberyn lifted his spear high, the sun flashing off its head. His grin was bright and vicious. Ravens launched from the rookery in a sudden black wave, beating wings hard against hot air. They rose and rose, carrying the proclamation north, carrying Dorne's challenge into every hall where men pretended to be comfortable. Myrcella stood trembling under her crown as cheers roared around her. Tears slid down her cheeks, catching sunlight. Arianne leaned close and whispered, "You did well," Myrcella whispered back, almost lost in the noise. "I feel like I'm standing on a cliff." Arianne's smile was fierce. "So do we all," she murmured. Behind them, Doran watched the ravens vanish into the sky and felt the world's weight shift. There would be no undoing this, no careful retreat into patience. Oberyn's gaze followed the ravens with hungry satisfaction. Let King's Landing choke on this, he thought. Let Tywin Lannister feel the ground move under his feet. Tywin read the proclamation twice without changing expression. Cersei read it once and tore her nails into her palm. "She crowned her," Cersei hissed. "That bastard Martell crowned my daughter." Tywin set the parchment down with slow precision. "They proclaimed," he corrected. "Crowns are metal. Proclamations are weapons." Cersei's laugh was sharp, unhinged. "Then kill her," she spat. "Kill Myrcella and their weapon shatters." Jaime stepped forward from the shadows, voice hoarse. "No." Cersei whipped toward him. "Don't you dare," she snarled. "Don't you dare pretend you care now." Jaime's jaw clenched. "I care because she's a child," he said, and the words seemed to tear out of him. "And because she's ours." Tywin's gaze flicked to Jaime, cold. "Your sentiment is irrelevant." Jaime stiffened. "It's not sentiment," he said. "It's reality. If Myrcella dies in Dorne, you won't just lose a claim. You'll ignite every spear in the south." Tywin's fingers tapped the table once, a small sound that silenced the room more effectively than shouting. "We are already ignited," he said softly. "Dorne has made sure of that." Cersei leaned in, eyes blazing. "Then burn them," she whispered. "Starve them, choke them, crush them until they beg." Tywin did not answer her immediately. His gaze drifted to the side of the room where Qyburn waited, quiet as a rat in a wall. On a table near him lay tools, knives, needles, thread. Objects meant for healing and used here for something else. Behind Qyburn, a large shape lay covered on a stretcher, the outline unmistakable. Jaime's eyes followed Tywin's. His face tightened when he saw the shape. "What is that?" he demanded, though his tone suggested he already knew and hated knowing. Tywin's voice remained calm. "Insurance," he said. Cersei's eyes glittered. "You kept him?" she breathed, something like excitement creeping into her rage. "You kept the mountain." Jaime's eyes widened in disgust. "He was dead," he said. "Oberyn killed him." Qyburn's voice was soft, eager. "Death is flexible," he murmured, as if speaking of a minor inconvenience. Tywin's gaze did not leave the covered shape. "Dorne has its viper," he said. If they bring their champion into the world's gaze, we will bring ours out of shadow. Jaime's voice was tight. That's madness. Tywin's eyes finally snapped to him, sharp. Madness is letting Dorne dictate the realm's law, he said. Madness is allowing your sister's child to become a banner for rebellion. Cersei's lips curled. Let the viper come, she whispered. Let him face what he made. Jaime stared at the covered body, and the memory of the confession in the throne room flared like a wound. He could still hear Gregor's rasp. Tywin. He looked at his father. You think you can bury the truth under another monster, he said, voice low. Tywin's expression did not change. Truth is what remains after power finishes speaking, he replied. Cersei leaned closer to Tywin, voice soft and poisonous. Send an envoy, she said. Smile, offer terms, and while they talk, we strike. Tywin nodded slightly. We will send letters to Highgarden, he said. We will secure the Reach's grain and the Stormland's swords. We will turn Dorne into an island of sand surrounded by hunger. And Myrcella? Cersei pressed. Tywin's gaze returned to the parchment. We will demand her return, he said. If they refuse, we will make refusal costly. Cersei's eyes narrowed. Costly how? Tywin's voice was soft. In ways they can count, he said. And in ways they can't. Qyburn shifted slightly, fingers twitching near his tools as if eager to begin. Jaime felt something cold settle in his stomach. He could see the path ahead. A war fought with starvation, with assassins, with monsters wearing armor and silence. He thought of Myrcella in Sunspear, crown on her head, trying to be brave. He thought of Dorne's spears rising, and he realized with a sick certainty that the realm was about to be torn open again, this time not by dragons or kings, but by old blood finally demanding to be paid for. Tywin folded the proclamation, sealing it with his gaze. Prepare, he said. Cersei smiled like a woman tasting vengeance. I'm always prepared, she whispered. In the candlelight, the covered shape on the stretcher did not move, but Qyburn's hands did. Night in Sunspear was softer than night in King's Landing. The air cooled, the sea breathed, the stars were sharp enough to cut. And yet, even here, war made the shadows heavier. Oberyn returned with dust on his cloak and blood he had not bothered to wash away. He carried himself like a man who had tasted the first bite of a feast he had waited years to eat. Doran waited in a quiet hall, lit by torches that threw warm light on pale marble. His posture was composed, but his eyes were tired. Arianne stood near him, holding a folded letter. Myrcella's handwriting small and careful on the page. Illyria lingered close, watching Oberyn with the worry of someone who knew how quickly triumph could become funeral. You struck, Doran said softly. Oberyn's smile was thin. We reminded them, he replied. Arianne lifted the letter slightly. Myrcella wrote to Tommen, she said. She told him she loves him. She told him she doesn't want war. Doran's gaze softened for a heartbeat. Good, he murmured. Let the boy know his sister is not his enemy. Oberyn's eyes flashed. He will be told she is, he said, and he will believe it if they repeat it enough. Doran did not argue. He knew. He had lived long enough to understand how courts shape children into tools. A soft fluttering came from the doorway. A guard entered with a raven on his arm, its eyes black and sharp. The bird carried a sealed message. The wax was crimson. The seal was a lion. Oberyn's smile sharpened. Already, he murmured. Doran gestured. Read it. Oberyn took the parchment and broke the seal. The words inside were polite, careful, written as if the writer believed courtesy could hide teeth. A demand for Myrcella's return. A warning about treason. An offer of peace that smelled like chains. A promise of consequences if Dorne refused. Oberyn laughed softly. Tywin sends honey, he said. He thinks we'll forget the poison beneath it. Doran's voice was quiet. He is buying time, he said. Time to gather allies. Time to choke us. Time to strike. Illyria's gaze was steady. He will send killers, she said. And hunger. Nymeria's voice drifted in as she entered, silent as a shadow. Tywin followed her, serene. Obara came last, restless, eyes bright with violence. Arianne's jaw tightened. Then we strike first, she said. Doran's eyes lifted to her. We endure first, he corrected. We prepare stores. We secure water. We ensure our people do not break when the Reach closes its fist. Oberyn stepped closer, spearhead catching torchlight like a star. And while we prepare, he said, voice low, Tywin builds his monsters. Doran's gaze sharpened slightly. What do you mean? Oberyn's eyes went distant, remembering the smell of the red keep's corridors, the way Varys had warned him, the way lions always preferred hidden claws. In King's Landing, he said quietly, they do not fight only with armies. They fight with secrets, with knives, with things men pretend aren't real until they are dying beneath them. Tywin's smile was gentle. Then we fight with truth, she murmured, and with our own knives. Doran folded his hands. We do not rush, he said again, and the words were both command and prayer. We let the realm see who threatens a child. We let them see who poisons gifts and calls it love. We let them see who confessed and who pretends confession is nothing. Oberyn's grin returned, fierce. And we let them see, he added, that Dorne does not kneel. Doran met his brother's gaze. In it was a question that had no clean answer. How many bodies would this cost? Oberyn did not flinch from the question. He had flinched from too much for too long. Outside, the sea wind rose. Somewhere beyond the palace walls, Dornish spears gleamed in torchlight along the passes, waiting. Oberyn crushed the lion-sealed parchment in his fist and let it fall like a shed skin. Send word back, he said softly. Tell Tywin Lannister that we refuse. Doran's voice was a quiet hammer. We refuse, he echoed. Arianne lifted Myrcella's letter again, as if it were a fragile shield. And we hold, she said. Ilaria reached for Oberyn's hand and squeezed once. Hard. And we survive, she whispered. Oberyn's smile was sharp as his spear. Survive, he murmured. Yes. He looked north, beyond walls, beyond dunes, beyond mountains. He imagined Tywin's cold eyes, Cersei's fury, the Reach's grain, the Stormland's swords, and the shadow of something large and dead being coaxed into movement again. Let them come, Oberyn thought. Dorne was awake, and it would not go back to sleep. The small council chamber smelled faintly of sweat and ink and the kind of fear men tried to perfume with politics. Tywin Lannister sat at the table as if it were carved into him, hands folded, gaze lowered to the parchment that had arrived with the Dornish seal. The lion's face did not change, but the room's air tightened around him like a noose. Ser Balon Swann was brought in by a gold-cloaked captain, who looked uneasy at being the one to introduce a man carrying a sword into a room full of sharper blades. Swann bowed cleanly, Stormland's courtesy, Kingsguard discipline, spine straight as a spear. His white cloak was spotless, as if even the capital's filth knew better than to touch it. Lord Hand, Swann said. Tywin's eyes lifted.
Ser Balon, he replied.
You are known to be a steady man. I serve, Swann answered. Cersei Lannister's laughter came out as a short, bright thing that did not reach her eyes. Steady, she echoed. She had been pacing, a restless lioness trapped behind stone and patience. Good. We need a steady hand to cut a snake's head off. Jaime Lannister's jaw tightened. He stood near the window with the light behind him, half in shadow, half gilded. He looked at Swann and then at Cersei, and there was a heaviness in his eyes as if he was tired of being the last decent thought in a family that kept eating its own. Tywin did not indulge Cersei's appetite for theatrics. Dorne has proclaimed Princess Myrcella, he said. They frame it as law. Swann's expression remained controlled, but his eyes flickered. A dangerous claim, he said carefully. A useful claim, Mace Tyrell put in, wiping his brow with a cloth as though the heat was personally offensive. If every realm starts inventing its own inheritance laws, Dorne isn't inventing, Jaime said quietly. It's been their law for centuries. Mace blinked at him as if Jaime had spoken in a foreign tongue. Marjorie Tyrell's gaze slid to Jaime, then to Cersei, then back to Tywin. She watched as though she were listening for the moment a crack became a break. Tywin's voice remained calm. You will sail for Sunspear, he told Swann. You will demand Myrcella's return. You will remind them that proclaiming a rival claim is treason against the crown. Swann's chin lifted slightly. And if they refuse? Tywin's gaze held him. They will not refuse if the offer is shaped correctly. He set another parchment on the table. These are the terms. Swann read quickly. Return the girl. Renounce the proclamation. Accept gold and titles as consolation. Promise of investigation into old crimes that would never be punished. The words were neat and bloodless. Swann looked up. They will not accept this, he said. Then you will discover what they will accept, Tywin replied. Cersei leaned forward, voice lower now, intimate with violence. And you will keep your eyes open, she added. You will see where they keep her. You will see who guards her. You will learn what she eats, what she touches, who she trusts. Swann's gaze went still. Your Grace? He asked, not to Tommen, but to the room itself. Cersei smiled sweetly. Don't pretend you don't understand, she said. Jaime's voice came rough. Cersei. She turned on him, eyes bright with fury. Don't, she warned. Don't you dare start speaking like a Septon. Tywin's fingers tapped once. You are Kingsguard, he reminded Swann. You will act in the crown's interest. Swann's posture did not change, but something hardened beneath it. The crown's interest, he said slowly, and the king's honor are not always the same thing. Cersei's smile sharpened into a blade. Honor, she said, tasting it like something sour. Tell me, Ser Balon, did honor save the Princess Elia when your father's allies opened the gates? The room went quiet. Even Mace Tyrell stopped fanning. Swann's face remained composed, but his eyes flicked once toward Jaime, as if seeking the sanity in the room. Jaime did not look away. Tywin spoke softly, ending the moment. You will leave at first light, he said. You will take enough men to look respectable, not enough to look like an invasion. And you will return with my granddaughter. Swann bowed again, deeper this time, as if bowing could brace him for what he was being asked to do. As you command, he said. When he turned to go, Jaime followed him to the door, moving with the quiet speed of a man who knew too many corridors by heart. In the passage outside, where stone muffled the council's breath, Jaime caught Swann by the arm. Ser Balon, he said quietly. Swann paused. Ser Jaime. Jaime's eyes were tired. Whatever my sister hints at, he said, voice low. Do not do it. Swann's gaze sharpened. Do what? Jaime's jaw flexed. Don't make yourself a murderer in a girl's bedchamber, he said. Not for their politics. Not for their pride. Swann's expression tightened. I am not your sister's creature, he said. Jaime nodded once, as if that was the only decent answer left in King's Landing. Then remember it, he murmured, because once you step into Dorne, everyone will try to make you forget who you are. Swann held his gaze a heartbeat longer than courtesy required. Then he bowed slightly, turned, and walked away, white cloak trailing behind him like a promise that could still be broken. Inside the council chamber, Cersei's voice rose again, sharp and hungry. Tywin's voice remained calm, colder than any hunger, and far south, under a sun that did not care who wore crowns, a child wrote a letter to her brother and tried to believe love could survive a war she had not chosen. Balon Swann hated the sea. He did not fear it. Fear was honest, and he had faced too many blades to pretend water was worse. He hated it because it offered no enemy to look in the eye. Waves rose and fell without malice. Storms killed without intent. Men drowned in silence. There was no honor in it. The ship cut through Blackwater Bay beneath a gray morning sky. King's Landing receded behind them, the Red Keep spires thinning into a jagged silhouette. Swann stood at the rail with his cloak pinned against the wind, watching gulls wheel and scream as if they were laughing at kings. His retinue was small, 20 men in crown colors, a maester to carry letters, a clerk to record terms, and 3 sellswords hired for local knowledge who looked like they had already decided which side would pay better. The captain bowed too often and spoke too little. Everyone understood that a Kingsguard's presence made the voyage official, and official things were often the first to catch fire. As the coast slid past, rumors slid with it. In every port where they took water, men spoke of Dorne's passes closing, of supply wagons burning, of red cloaks found dead in narrow roads with arrows in their throats. They spoke of Myrcella Baratheon wearing a Dornish crown and weeping as she did it. They spoke of Oberyn Martell as if he were a demon summoned by old grief. Swann listened without comment. He had worn the white cloak long enough to know rumor was a weapon, and he had been sent to a place where weapons grew from sand. On the 4th day, the air changed. It warmed. The wind carried salt sharpened with citrus. The sea turned bluer, the sun brighter, as if the world itself became less forgiving the farther south they sailed. Sunspear's pale towers rose from the coast like bleached bone, the walls bright against the red rock. Beyond them, the water gardens glimmered green, an insult to the desert or a triumph over it. Ships dotted the harbor, smaller than the Lannister fleet but quick and hungry, their sails sun-colored and taut. As Swann's ship approached the docks, Dornish guards were already waiting. They wore light armor and carried spears more often than swords. Their faces were sun-browned, their eyes calm, their posture relaxed in the way men were relaxed when they knew they owned the ground beneath their feet. A man stepped forward when the gangplank was lowered. He was tall, dark-skinned, with a shaved head and a face carved into stillness. A great axe rested across his palms as if it were an extension of his body rather than a weapon. Arianne, Swann thought, the captain of guards, the man who killed without words. Sir Balon Swann, Arianne said, voice flat. Swann bowed. Captain, he replied, I come as envoy of His Grace King Tommen. Arianne's eyes did not flicker. The prince receives envoys, he said, not demands. Swann held his tone steady. I bring words, he said, and I bring the hope of peace. Arianne's expression remained unreadable. Peace, he repeated, as if tasting a foreign spice. Then he stepped aside. Follow. They were led through Sunspear's outer courtyards where fountains trickled and orange trees grew in defiance of dust. The scent of citrus was everywhere, bright enough to cut through the smell of sweat and ship tar clinging to Swann's men. Servants moved with practiced grace. Guards watched with practiced indifference. The palace was not built like the Red Keep. No heavy stone meant to intimidate, no dark corridors meant to hide. Sunspear was open to sun, open to wind, as if it did not believe fear was necessary. Swann found that openness unsettling. A man who did not hide was either foolish or confident enough to kill you while smiling. They were brought into a cool hall where pale marble reflected the light. Prince Doran Martell waited at the far end in his chair, posture composed, face calm. Beside him stood Princess Arianne, chin lifted, eyes bright. Oberyn Martell was not there, at least not visible. Yet Swann felt him anyway, like a blade you knew was somewhere in the room even if you could not see it. Swann bowed deeply. Prince Doran, he said, I come on behalf of the king. Doran's voice was soft, almost kind. We welcome guests in Dorne, he said, even those who bring storms with them. Arianne's smile was polite and sharp. Will you drink? She asked, and the question sounded like courtesy, but in Dorne, even water could be a test. Swann accepted the cup offered by a servant, watching closely. If they intended to poison him, they were not subtle. He drank. The water was cool, flavored faintly with mint. Doran gestured toward the table. Speak, he said. Swann unfolded his parchment. He read the crown's terms aloud, voice steady, careful. He did not relish the words, but he gave them their due. When he finished, Silence held the hall for a long moment. Doran's eyes rested on him, patient and heavy. "You offer us gold," he said softly, "and promises." Swann held his gaze. "I offer you peace," he replied. Arianne's laughter was quiet. "Peace," she echoed, "from the house that sends pearls soaked in poison to a child." Swann's brows lifted a fraction. "I have heard nothing of this," he said truthfully. Doran's voice remained gentle. "Then you have been sent blind," he said. "That is not an insult, Ser Balon. It is simply the crown's habit." Swann's fingers tightened slightly on the parchment. "Princess Myrcella must return," he said. "She is the king's sister. She is not." "Not what?" A voice cut in from the side, smooth as a drawn knife. Oberyn Martell stepped into view as if he had always been there. He wore scarlet, and his smile was bright and dangerous. Swann's hand went instinctively toward his sword, then stopped. "You did not draw steel in an envoy's hall unless you wished to die as one." Oberyn's eyes raked over Swann with amused contempt. "Not a banner," he suggested. "Not a shield? Not a claim? She is all those things, say.
Balon.
The difference is that in Dorne we say it aloud." Swann forced his voice steady. "I am here to prevent bloodshed," he said. Oberyn's smile widened. "Then you came too late," he replied softly. Doran lifted a hand, and even Oberyn's fire stilled, if only a fraction. "We will discuss," Doran said. "We will consider. We will answer." Arianne's eyes glinted. "And you will see the princess," she added, her tone pleasant as a blade polished clean. Swann's heartbeat steadied. He did not know whether seeing Myrcella would calm this or sharpen it. But he knew one thing as he followed them deeper into Sunspear. He had stepped into a place where courtesy was armor, and every smile might conceal a spearhead. Myrcella Baratheon sat beneath a lattice window where sunlight fell in bright squares across the floor. The air smelled of orange blossoms and parchment. A small stack of letters lay on the table before her. Some from Doran, some from Arianne, one from Trystane with childish doodles in the margin to make her smile. The newest letter was in her own hand, addressed to Tommen, ink smudged where tears had fallen. When Ser Balon Swann entered, she rose quickly, as if remembering court lessons. She wore a simple dress of pale gold. The crown was not on her head now, but Swann could see it on the table, catching light, patient as fate. "Ser Balon," Myrcella said, voice trembling just slightly with relief. You're from King's Landing." Swann bowed to her, deeper than he would have bowed to most adults. "Princess," he said, "I have come to bring you home." Myrcella's eyes flicked to Arianne standing beside the door, then to Trystane leaning against the wall trying to look brave. "Home," she repeated softly. The word did not sound simple in her mouth. Arianne's smile was polite. "Ser Balon," she said, "we are pleased you have come. The princess has been safe here." Swann's gaze remained on Myrcella. "I see no chains," he said carefully.
No harm.
"No," Myrcella whispered, and her voice grew steadier. "They haven't hurt me." Trystane's jaw tightened. "We would never," he said, and there was real indignation there. Swann nodded slightly. "Then allow her to return," he said. Arianne's smile did not change. "The crown asked for her return," she replied. "The crown also sent poisoned pearls." Swann's eyes flicked briefly toward the crown on the table. "I did not know," he said, and he believed it made no difference to them. Myrcella's hands clenched in her skirt. "Ser Balon," she said, and her voice grew quiet, earnest. "Will you give Tommen my letter?" Swann's expression softened despite himself. "Yes," he said, "if you wish it." Myrcella stepped forward and picked up the folded parchment. She held it as if it were fragile glass. "Tell him I love him," she whispered. "Tell him I'm not trying to take anything from him." Swann took the letter gently. "I will," he promised. Arianne watched the exchange like a player watching pieces move. "Do you see?" she asked Swann softly. "She is not a hostage. She is a person." The crown forgets that. Swann's voice remained calm. The crown remembers, he said. It remembers too well. That is why it fears what you are doing. Myrcella's throat bobbed. I never wanted to frighten anyone, she said. Trystane stepped closer, careful. You shouldn't have to want it, he murmured. It was done around you. Swann looked at the girl, and for a moment he saw only that girl, not Claim. A child carrying a weight too large for her bones. He imagined her in King's Landing again, surrounded by men who would smile at her while planning her use. He imagined Cersei's hands on her shoulders, tight as shackles. Princess, Swann said quietly, I must ask you plainly, do you wish to remain here? Myrcella's eyes widened. Arianne's gaze sharpened. Trystane stiffened. Myrcella swallowed. I want my brother safe, she said. And I want my mother to stop being angry. And I want... Her voice faltered. Arianne stepped in, gentle but firm. You want to go home, she supplied, as if guiding a child through a hard truth. Myrcella shook her head, tears forming. I want a home that isn't a knife, she whispered. Silence filled the room. Even the fountains outside seemed to pause. Swann's chest tightened. He had been sent to demand and threaten, but in that moment he understood how little those words meant beside the honest trembling of a child. He looked to Arianne. If the crown swears her safety, he began. Arianne's laugh was soft. Swears, she echoed. On what? On Tywin Lannister's honor? On Cersei's love? Swann's jaw clenched. He had no answer that would satisfy. The door opened behind them, and Oberyn Martell entered without knocking. His presence filled the chamber like heat. Ser Balon, Oberyn said pleasantly. Do you like her? She is kinder than most of your court deserves. Swann's voice tightened. I am not here to debate kindness, he said. Oberyn's smile sharpened. No, he agreed. You are here to measure whether you can take her without dying. Swann met his gaze. I will not draw steel in this room, he said. Oberyn's grin widened. Good, he murmured. You might have lived 3 heartbeats. Myrcella flinched. Uncle, Trystane protested, voice strained. Oberyn's gaze flicked to Trystane, and the boy quieted. Oberyn looked back to Swann. Tell your lord hand something for me, he said softly. Tell him that if he wants the princess, he can come and ask her himself, on his knees, with Elia's name on his tongue. Swann's eyes narrowed. That is not negotiation, he said. It is justice, Oberyn replied, as if they were the same. Doran's voice came from the doorway, calm and heavy. Enough, he said softly. He entered with Arianne behind him. Doran's gaze settled on Myrcella first, a quiet apology in his eyes. Then he looked at Swann. You will stay as our guest, Doran said. You will eat our food. You will see our walls. You will witness that the princess is alive and unharmed. And then you will carry our answer back to King's Landing. Swann's posture remained rigid. And your answer is... Doran's voice was gentle as sand and just as merciless. No, he said. Myrcella's breath hitched. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She did not know whether to feel relief or despair. Swann's jaw tightened. Then blood will follow, he said. Oberyn's smile was bright. Blood has been following for years, he murmured. Swann turned slightly toward Doran. If you keep her, he said, voice low, you make her the battlefield. Doran's eyes did not flinch. The battlefield came to her, he replied. We did not invite it. We merely refuse. To pretend it isn't here. Swann held the letter to Tommen in his hand, feeling its light weight like a stone. As he bowed to leave, Myrcella whispered, barely audible, Please, don't let them hate me. Swann's chest tightened. I will tell your brother the truth, he promised. He was not sure truth could survive King's Landing, but he would carry it anyway. The first ships of the blockade did not arrive with drums. They arrived with silence and sailcloth and the slow certainty of a closing fist. Word reached Sunspear through fishermen who came in pale-faced at dawn, hands still smelling of nets. They spoke of Lannister ships hovering beyond the coast like sharks. Red banners limp in the heat, hulls dark against the bright water. They spoke of Tyrell cogs moving too, grain ships turned into walls, commerce turned into siege. Doran listened in his cool hall without raising his voice. He did not rage. Rage would have been easier to swallow than the weight of what blockade meant. Count them, he instructed the captains. Know their number, know their pattern, know where the sea is shallow and where it bites. Oberyn leaned over the map with a predator's grin. We cut them, he said. We send fire ships in the night. We make their blockade a funeral pyre. Nymeria's voice was smooth. Fire ships cost ships, she reminded. And we have fewer to spare. Obara laughed. We have bodies to spare, she said, as if people were just another kind of ammunition. Doran's gaze flicked to her, calm and hard. We do not spend lives like coin, he said softly. Arianne's eyes burned. Then we spend fear, she replied. We strike where they aren't looking. So they did. Oberyn rode north again, lighter cavalry at his back, men with bows and spears who knew how to vanish into canyon shadow. They did not march against armies. They hunted supply lines. They burned wagons. They poisoned wells only where soldiers drank, not where villages depended. Because Doran had drawn lines even war could not cross, and Oberyn, for all his fire, did not cross them lightly. Near the edge of the Stormlands, where the land grew greener and the air tasted less like dust, they struck a convoy carrying salt pork and flour meant for the crown's probing forces. The wagons were guarded by men in red cloaks and a few knights in heavier armor sweating under plate. They were not expecting Dornish riders that far north. Oberyn watched from a rise as the convoy rolled into a narrow stretch between scrub and rock. He breathed in, feeling the moment tighten. Now, he murmured. Arrows fell. Horses screamed. Men shouted. Obara's riders hit the rear with spears, cutting off retreat. Nymeria's men swept the front, capturing rather than slaughtering, because prisoners spoke. Oberyn drove into the center like a blade, spear flashing, eyes fixed not on bodies but on banners. A knight tried to rally, lifting a lion banner high. Oberyn's spear took him through the shoulder. The banner dropped into dust. The convoy broke. When the last resistance crumbled, Oberyn dismounted and walked among the surviving men. He stopped before a young squire kneeling with hands bound, his face pale, his lip trembling. "What's your name?" Oberyn asked. The boy swallowed hard. "Edric," he whispered. "Edric Payne." Oberyn's brows lifted slightly. Payne, not the headsman but a lesser branch, still noble enough to matter. "Who do you serve, Edric Payne?" Oberyn asked, voice soft. The boy's eyes flicked to the dead knight nearby.
"Ser Royand," he whispered.
And the crown?" Oberyn smiled thinly. "And does the crown feed you?" he asked. "Does it care if you starve?" The boy's throat bobbed. He did not answer because he did not know. Oberyn straightened. "You will write a letter," he told him. "You will write to your lord hand. You will tell him that every wagon he sends south will burn. You will tell him that Dorne is not a castle you can starve. It is a land that bites back." The boy trembled. "If I write..." He began. "You live," Oberyn said. "If you don't, Obara will practice spearwork on you until she's satisfied." Obara's grin widened at the mention of it, as if pleased to be included. The boy nodded frantically. They gave him parchment and ink. His hands shook so hard the first letters looked like spider legs. Oberyn watched without impatience. Fear wrote better than pride. When the letter was finished, Oberyn sealed it with wax stamped by a captured signet. Payne's mark pressed into it by the boy's own trembling hand. "Good," Oberyn murmured. He handed it to Nymeria. "Send it north." Nymeria smiled faintly. "With a gift," she said. Oberyn's eyes glinted. He gestured to the wagons. "Take what we need," he ordered. "Burn the rest." Flames rose again. Smoke climbed into the bright sky, visible for miles. As they rode back toward Dorne, Oberyn felt the blockade tightening behind them like a slow choke. Tywin would try hunger because hunger broke peasants faster than swords broke soldiers. But hunger could be made to bite the hand that wielded it. And Oberyn Martell intended to teach the realm that starving Dorne was not a clean act. It was a war crime written in grain and grief, and Dorne would answer it with fire. Ser Balon Swann stayed 3 days in Sunspear, not because he wished to, but because Doran Martell understood the value of time. Each day Swann remained south was a day. He was not in King's Landing watching Cersei sharpen knives for his hands. Each day was also a day word spread that the crown's envoy had not returned with the princess, which made the crown look weaker with every sunrise. Swann was treated with flawless courtesy. He ate spiced lamb and citrus fish. He drank cool water in shaded halls. He walked the water gardens under the watchful eyes of Arianne, who followed him with quiet patience that made every step feel measured. On the second evening, Doran invited him to the water gardens at dusk. The fountains caught the fading light, turning it into trembling gold. Children played, their laughter too bright for the war tightening around the walls. Swann watched them and felt something heavy in his chest, because he knew what wars did to such laughter. Doran sat beside a pool, hands folded, gaze on the water as if reading futures in ripples. "Do you see why I built this?" he asked softly. Swann's voice was careful. "To remind yourself what you protect," he said. Doran nodded slightly. "To remind the world," he corrected, "that Dorne is not merely a spear pointed north. It is children. It is water. It is peace hard-won." Swann swallowed. "And yet you choose war." Doran's eyes lifted, calm and sad. "War chose us," he said. "We simply refuse to pretend otherwise." Swann hesitated, then spoke what he had not dared in the council hall. "They want you to break," he said. "They will starve your ports. They will buy your bannermen. They will send knives into your beds." Doran's mouth curved faintly, not a smile, more an acknowledgement. "Yes," he said, "and we will endure." Swann's jaw tightened. "Endure until when?" He demanded quietly. "Until your people curse your name for hunger? Until Myrcella becomes a corpse with a crown on her head?" Doran's gaze hardened slightly at that. "Myrcella will not die here," he said softly. "Not while I breathe." Swann's voice dropped. "And if the crown offers to pardon Dorne in exchange for her body?" he asked. Doran's eyes did not flinch. "Then the crown offers a confession," he replied, "that they would rather kill a child than admit truth. The realm will hear it." Swann let out a bitter breath. "The realm hears what it is paid to hear," he said. Doran's gaze remained steady. "Sometimes," he agreed, "but sometimes the realm hears what it cannot unhear." Gregor Clegane named Tywin Lannister in the throne room. That sound does not vanish. Swann's chest tightened. He remembered the rumors of that moment, the way even men loyal to the Lion had spoken of it in low voices, as if afraid the stone walls themselves would repeat it. Doran's voice remained gentle. "Tell me, Ser Balon," he asked, "when you look at the crown, do you see a boy?" Swann hesitated. "I see King Tommen," he said. Doran's eyes were quiet. "No," he said softly. "Do you see a boy?" Swann's throat bobbed. "Yes," he admitted. "And when you look at Lady Cersei," Doran continued, "do you see a mother?" Swann's jaw tightened. "I see a queen," he said carefully. Doran's gaze sharpened. "Do you see a mother?" he pressed. Swann's silence was answer enough. Doran nodded slightly. "Then you understand," he said softly, "why Myrcella's claim is not merely law, it is protection. She is safer here than she is with those who call her theirs." Swann looked away, eyes on the fountains. A child shrieked with laughter as someone splashed him. The sound cut through Swann like a blade because it felt so fragile. "Your brother," Swann said after a moment, voice low, "wants blood." Doran's eyes closed briefly. "Oberyn's blood sings louder than mine," he admitted. "But even my blood sings, Ser Balon. It has been singing for years beneath patience." Swann's hand tightened on the hilt of his sword, not to draw, but because he needed something solid to hold. "If I return empty-handed," he said, "Tywin will call banners." Doran's gaze lifted to him. "He will call them anyway," he said. Swann's face tightened. "Then why send me at all?" he demanded. Doran's voice remained gentle. "To show you," he said, "that we are not monsters. To show you that if blood floods the realm, it is not because Dorne wanted to drown it. It is because the lion refused to let truth live." Swann swallowed hard. He thought of Myrcella's letter in his pouch. He thought of Jaime's warning in the corridor. He thought of Cersei's eyes. "I will deliver the princess's letter," Swann said quietly. Doran's mouth curved faintly again. "Thank you," he said, and the gratitude sounded real. Swann rose, bowing. As he turned to leave, Doran spoke one last time, voice soft as water. "Ser Balon," he said, "if you must choose between obeying a command and protecting a child, choose the child." Swann froze for half a heartbeat. Then he bowed again, deeper, and walked away beneath orange trees heavy with fruit, carrying a letter that might be the last honest thing to reach King's Landing for a long time. The blockade's first bite was not hunger. It was doubt. Lord Anders Ironwood arrived at Sunspear with a train of spearmen and a face carved into suspicion. The Ironwoods had always been proud, always eager to remind the Martells that they were kings once too, and the old rivalry sat under every polite word like a knife under a sleeve. Arianne met him in the courtyard with a smile bright enough to blind. "Lord Ironwood," she greeted, arms open in practiced warmth. "You honor us." Ironwood bowed, stiff. "Princess," he replied. His eyes flicked past her to the banners on the walls, the sun and spear fluttering. "I come because your ravens spoke of war." "They spoke of justice," Arianne corrected lightly. Ironwood's gaze slid toward Doran's chair as servants rolled it into the hall. "Justice," he echoed. "Or pride." Oberyn stood near a pillar, arms folded, watching the Lord with the kind of calm that was almost a threat. Ironwood's eyes flicked to him and quickly away again. Everyone in Dorne had heard of Oberyn's return, of the mountain's death, of the confession. Some celebrated it. Others feared the fire it brought. Doran's voice was soft. "Lord Ironwood," he said, "thank you for coming." Ironwood bowed again, and this time his gaze held Doran's for a heartbeat longer. "You call us to close the passes," he said bluntly. "You call us to fight the crown." "We call you to defend Dorne," Doran replied. Ironwood's jaw tightened. "Defend," he repeated. "By crowning a Baratheon girl." Arianne's eyes flashed. "By acknowledging law," she snapped. Ironwood's gaze remained cool. "Law that suits you," he said. Oberyn's smile sharpened. "Law that has always been ours," he corrected. "Or are you suggesting we abandon Dornish custom to please a lion?" Ironwood's nostrils flared. "I suggest," he said slowly, "that the lion will starve us. The Reach has grain. The Crown has ships. We have sand." Doran's gaze remained steady. "We also have stores," he said, "and we have routes the Crown cannot choke. We have mountain paths. We have wells. We have a people who can live on less than fat men in silk think possible." Ironwood's mouth tightened. "And we have bannermen," he said, eyes shifting slightly toward the other lords in the hall. "Men who will not let their children starve for your sister's ghost." The words hit like a slap. A murmur rose. Oberyn stepped forward, smile gone. "Do not speak of Elia as a ghost," he said quietly. His voice was soft enough that it forced attention. "She was flesh. She bled. She died. And if you think her blood is a story to be traded for grain, then you are less Dornish than the sand." Ironwood's face flushed. His hand twitched toward his belt. "Careful," he warned. Areo Hoda shifted slightly behind Doran, great axe angling, and the movement alone cooled the room. Ironwood swallowed and forced his hand still. Doran lifted a hand. "We will not fracture now," he said softly. "That is what the lion wants." Ironwood's gaze hardened. "The lion wants many things," he said, But he is good at getting them. Arianne stepped forward, voice bright and sharp. Then let him try, she said. He will find Dorne is not a purse to be squeezed. Ironwood looked at her, eyes narrow. You are young, he said. You speak like fire. Arianne's smile did not falter. And you speak like fear, she replied. Silence tightened. Even the fountains outside seemed quieter. Doran's voice remained gentle. Lord Ironwood, he said, I do not ask you to love this path. I ask you to see it clearly. If we surrender Myrcella now, if we renounce our proclamation, what do you think happens? Ironwood's jaw flexed. The crown pardons us, he said. Doran's gaze was soft and pitiless. No, he said. The crown learns it can poison our guests, murder our blood, and buy our silence. And then it will do it again. Not to me, perhaps. To your house, to your sons, to your daughters, to any who displease them. Ironwood's eyes flickered. He knew the truth of it. Every Dornish house had old stories of northern cruelty. Doran continued, voice quiet. If we stand now, he said, we may bleed, we may starve, but we will teach the realm that Dorne cannot be treated like a conquered province. Ironwood stared at him for a long moment. Then he exhaled slowly, the sound harsh. And if the realm decides to crush us anyway? Oberyn's smile returned, cold. Then they will have to come into our mountains, he said. They will have to die in our passes. They will have to bury their sons in our sand. Ironwood's gaze shifted to Oberyn, and for a heartbeat he looked as if he could see the war in the man's eyes. Finally, Ironwood bowed his head slightly. I will hold the Boneway, he said. The words came out as if dragged from him. For Dorne. A murmur of approval ran through the hall. Relief and grim pride tangled together. Doran nodded once, eyes heavy. Thank you, he said. Arianne's smile brightened, triumphant. Oberyn's gaze remained hard. He knew allegiance given under fear could turn under hunger. He knew the blockade would test them all. But for now, the Boneway would be held. For now, Dorne was still one land, and the lion would have to break it with more than letters. In King's Landing, the city's air grew sharper with every rumor from the south. The proclamation of Myrcella spread through taverns and markets faster than ravens. Some spoke her name with pity, others with contempt. Most spoke it with the kind of nervous fascination people had for disasters that were not yet theirs. And behind every whispered mention was another whisper. Gregor Clegane's confession, Tywin Lannister's name, the idea that the hand of the king might be a murderer who had simply done what all-powerful men did. Tywin did not allow the city time to settle into those whispers. He moved. Grain prices rose before the blockade ships even sailed, because merchants smelled opportunity and fear. Gold cloaks patrolled more aggressively, breaking up crowds that gathered around septs where angry men preached about justice and sin. The faith's bells rang louder, as if trying to drown out politics with prayer. In his solar, Tywin received Ser Balon Swann's report with his usual calm. Swann's letter was polite, precise, stripped of emotion. It described Myrcella alive, unharmed. It described Doran's refusal. It described Oberyn's threats. It included Myrcella's own letter to Tommen. Tywin read the child's words without expression. Then he passed the letter to Tommen as if handing him a toy. Tommen's hands shook as he unfolded it. His eyes moved across the page, and his face crumpled. She says she loves me, he whispered, voice breaking. She says she doesn't want. Cersei snatched the parchment from him. Her eyes moved quickly, mouth tightening as she read. She's been turned, she hissed. They've filled her head with Dornish lies. Jaime stepped forward, voice low. She's your daughter, he reminded her. She's not a spy. Cersei's eyes snapped to him. Don't, she warned, and her voice was sharp enough to cut. Tywin did not let them drown in family grief. We will respond, he said calmly. We will not allow Dorne to hold the realm hostage with a child. Cersei's voice was venomous. Then we take her, she said. Tywin's gaze slid toward Qyburn. who stood quietly near the wall like a shadow that had learned to bow. "We will take what we can," Tywin replied, "and we will break what we must." Qyburn's smile was faint. "Certain preparations are nearing completion," he murmured. Jaime's stomach tightened. He did not like Qyburn's preparations. He did not like anything that smelled of death pretending to be useful. Mace Tyrell arrived later with outrage bubbling behind his florid manner. "This is intolerable," he declared, face red. "A rival claim. My gods, Lord Tywin, the precedent will be crushed," Tywin said. Mace leaned in, lowering his voice as if sharing gossip. "Highgarden is uneasy," he admitted. "My bannermen do not like the idea of marching into mountains to die for Lannister pride." Tywin's eyes were cold. "They will march because they need the crown," he said, "and because the crown controls the grain routes that keep their people fat." Mace swallowed. "Yes," he said, and he did not sound pleased. Marjorie Tyrell watched from behind her father, expression composed. When Tywin's gaze met hers, she offered a small smile. Respectful, pleasant, unreadable. After the Tyrells left, Tywin spoke to Kevan quietly. "Send gold to the stepstones," he instructed. "Hire ships. Make the blockade thicker." Kevan nodded. "And the Stormlands? Promise them favor," Tywin said. "Promise them offices. Promise them Dorne's blood." Cersei's voice slipped in, soft and poisonous. "And send knives," she whispered. Tywin's gaze did not flicker. "Yes," he agreed. "Send knives." That night, in a small, locked chamber beneath the keep where candlelight did not reach the corners, Qyburn unlatched a door. Inside, a shape sat upright on a stone slab. It was enormous. It wore armor, but not the mountain's old black plate. This was new, white, polished, without sigil. It reflected candlelight in clean, merciless lines. A helm covered its face completely. Qyburn stepped closer, eyes shining with reverence and hunger. "Can you hear me?" he whispered, as if speaking to a god. The thing did not breathe. It did not blink. It did not move until Qyburn spoke a single word, low and sharp, a command like a key turning in a lock. "Stand." The armored giant rose slowly. Chains rattled as it moved, not from struggle but from the weight of it. The motion was smooth, too smooth for something dead. Qyburn smiled. In the dark, the thing's gauntlet hands clenched once. Tywin Lannister's monsters were not all made of men. Some were made of corpses and obedience. And soon, when the realm needed to be reminded what happened to those who challenged lions, Tywin would unleash one. Dorne's spears were sharp, but sharp things could still be blunted by something that did not feel pain. The Boneway did not care about politics. It cared about weight and sound, and whether a man knew how to breathe in narrow places. The crown's first rail push came at dawn, when light still clung low in the mountains and shadows pooled like spilled ink. A column of men in red and gold advanced carefully, shields up, eyes scanning cliffs. They moved as if expecting the mountains to attack, which in Dorne was simply sensible. Lord Ironwood held the throat with disciplined spearmen who knew every stone. Areo Hota stood beside him, great axe resting on his shoulder. His white cloak was clean, but his eyes were not gentle. Oberyn watched from higher up with a small knot of riders, restless as wolves kept from the hunt. He had promised Doran he would not chase glory. He had not promised he would enjoy restraint. Below, a horn sounded, low and cautious. The crown's men tested the road with a few riders first, then sent the main body forward. Ironwood's voice was flat. "Wait," he instructed. The Dornish archers above held their breath. Fingers rested on bowstrings. Rocks waited, roped and poised. The crown's column entered the narrowest stretch where the walls rose steep and the road tightened to a ribbon. The sound of boots and armor echoed strangely, multiplying. Men looked up, then down, then up again, as if expecting eyes in the stone. They were right. Areo Hota lifted a hand. A rope was cut. A boulder rolled. Then another. The rocks thundered down, smashing into the column's front, shattering shields, breaking men into screams. Horses reared, panicked, crashing into each other. The road clogged instantly with bodies and wreckage. Arrows followed. They fell in disciplined volleys, not the wild rain of desperate men, but the measured bite of hunters. The Crown's commander, an older knight with a gilded helm, shouted orders, trying to form a shield wall. His voice echoed against stone, making it sound like there were many commanders, many plans. It did not matter. Spearmen surged from side paths and cracks, stabbing into the column's flanks where shields were turned wrong. Men fell. Blood ran along the stones like spilled wine. Oberyn watched, jaw tight. It was efficient. It was controlled. It was Doran's kind of war. Make them pay, then let them crawl away to tell the story. A young knight tried to push forward through the chaos, sword raised, red cloak bright with pride. He charged toward Areo Hoda with the desperate courage of a man trying to earn songs. Areo did not move until the last instant. Then his axe swung once, clean and brutal. The knight's head rolled, helmet bouncing in dust. The Crown's men faltered. Panic swelled. Some tried to retreat, but the road behind them was jammed with bodies and broken wagons. They were trapped. Ironwood's spearmen pressed, not to slaughter all, but to collapse resistance. Men dropped weapons. Hands rose. Enough! Ironwood called finally, voice hard. The killing slowed. The screaming did not. Survivors were dragged to their knees. Their commander was among them, blood on his face, eyes wide with shock. Oberyn rode down at last, cloak snapping, spear upright. He stopped before the kneeling commander. "Who are you?" Oberyn asked softly. The man swallowed.
Ser Gaven, Raspeth.
Ser Gaenov. Oberyn cut him off with a small smile. "It doesn't matter," he said. "Tell me instead, did Tywin Lannister tell you Dorne would kneel when you marched into our mountains?"
Ser Gaven's face twisted.
He did not answer. Oberyn leaned in slightly, voice low. "Go back," he said. "Go back to King's Landing and tell them what you saw. Tell them that the Boneway is a throat and Dorne has hands around it. Tell them that every step north of this point costs a life."
Sega wens bratisha.
"You'll let me go?" he whispered. Oberyn's smile sharpened. "Yes," he said, "so you can carry fear." He straightened and looked at the prisoners behind Ser Gaen. "Choose 10, he told Areo quietly. "Send the rest back." Areo's gaze flicked to him. "Why 10? Oberyn's eyes glittered. "Because 10 makes a story," he murmured. "And stories travel." Areo did not argue. He never wasted breath on arguing with madness when obedience was safer. The chosen 10 were dragged aside, bound tighter. The rest were given water and shoved northward, limping, bleeding, terrified. Ironwood watched them go, face grim. "They'll come again," he said. Oberyn smiled like a man welcoming an old enemy. "Let them," he replied. He looked up at the cliffs, at the rocks already being re-roped, the arrows being gathered, the traps being reset. Dorne's war was not a single battle. It was a grinding lesson, and the Crown had just failed its first exam. North, ravens would carry the news. South, men would sharpen spears. And somewhere in King's Landing, Tywin Lannister would hear that his first push had been turned into a pile of corpses in a mountain throat. Oberyn hoped it tasted like Elaya's name. Bitter, unavoidable, deserved. When Ser Balon Swann returned to King's Landing, he carried 2 letters and a truth neither side wanted to hear. He arrived under low clouds with the city stinking of wet stone and crowded bodies. Word of Dorne's ambushes had reached the capital before he did, twisting into stories. Some exaggerated, some less terrible than the truth, all sharpening fear. He was brought to the throne room first, because optics mattered and the Crown wanted the city to see the White Cloak return. Tommen sat on the iron throne too large for him, feet not quite reaching the step, hands clenched on the armrests as if holding on kept him from falling into the pit beneath. Cersei stood beside him like a shadow shaped as a queen. Tywin watched from below, face stone. Swann knelt. "Your Grace," he said. Tommen's voice was small, My sister, he blurted. Is she? Swann lifted his head. Alive, he said. Unharmed. Tommen's breath escaped in a shaky rush. And, will she come home? Swann hesitated. That hesitation was answer enough. Cersei's voice cut in sharp. What did they do to her? She demanded. What lies did they pour into her ears? Swann's jaw tightened. They treated her as kin, he said. They fed her. They protected her. Cersei's eyes narrowed. Protected her from me? She hissed. Swann did not take the bait. He reached into his pouch and held out Myrcella's letter. She wrote to you, he said to Tommen, and his voice softened despite himself. Tommen leaned forward eagerly. Cersei snatched the parchment first, scanning it like a hawk. Her lips curled as she read Myrcella's pleas for peace. She's been coached, Cersei spat. Tywin lifted a hand slightly. Give it to the king, he said, and Cersei's fingers tightened but obeyed. Tommen read, tears filling his eyes. She says she loves me, he whispered again, as if repeating it could keep it real. Swann held his spine straight and spoke the second letter's truth. Prince Doran refuses the demand, he said. He says Myrcella's claim stands by Dornish law and that Dorne will defend her. A murmur rippled through the hall. Courtiers exchanged glances like knives. Tywin's voice was calm. And his terms? He asked. Swann's expression tightened. He demands recognition that Gregor Clegane confessed, he said. He demands justice for Princess Elia. He demands you, Swann finished, and the words felt absurd even as he spoke them. To come to Sunspear and speak Elia's name. A hush fell. Then Cersei laughed, loud and brittle. He wants father to crawl, she sneered. He wants to humiliate us. Tywin's face remained stone. He wants war, he corrected. Swann's gaze flicked to Jaime standing among the Kingsguard, and for a heartbeat he saw the same tired anger there. And the passes? Tywin asked. Swann's voice went flatter. The Boneway is held, he said. The Prince's Pass is held. Any push will cost. Tywin nodded slightly, as if counting costs was as simple as counting coins. Very well, he said. We will pay. Tommen's voice rose, small but desperate. Please, he said. Please don't hurt her. No one answered him. After court, Tywin summoned Swann to his solar. The room smelled of parchment and power. Cersei followed like a blade seeking blood. Tywin spoke first. You did well, he said. It was not praise. It was acknowledgement that Swann had returned alive. Swann's jaw tightened. The princess is not a hostage, he said. If we treat her as one, we make her a corpse. Cersei's eyes blazed. She is my daughter, she hissed. And that Dornish whore wears her like jewelry. Swann's voice stayed controlled. Princess Myrcella is frightened, he said. But she is not broken. She spoke of peace. Cersei's laugh was sharp. Peace is what weak people beg for when they can't win, she spat. Tywin's gaze was cold. Peace is what we offer when it benefits us, he said. And it does not. Swann stepped forward slightly, daring. If you push too hard, he warned, the realm will see you as the aggressor. They will see you as the lion that starves children to punish a land. Tywin's eyes narrowed. The realm sees what it is told, he replied. Swann's chest tightened. He thought of Doran's quiet request in the water gardens. Choose the child. My lord, Swann said slowly. Myrcella's letter to Tommen is sincere. Tywin's voice was flat. Sincerity is irrelevant. Cersei leaned in, smile thin. If Myrcella's sincerity becomes a problem, she murmured, we can solve it. Jaime's voice came from the doorway, low and furious. No. Cersei turned on him like a snake. Don't, she warned again. Jaime stepped into the room, golden armor catching candlelight. His face was hard. I won't let you, he said. Cersei's eyes glittered. You won't let me? She repeated softly, and the softness was more dangerous than shouting. Tywin's gaze moved between them like a man watching two knives on a table. Enough, he said quietly. He looked at Swann. You will remain in the city, he instructed. You will be available. Swann bowed, though his stomach churned. As he left the solar, Swann heard Cersei's voice behind him, low and venomous. We'll take her, she whispered. Tywin's reply was too quiet to hear, but Swann did not need to hear it to know what it meant. Outside, the bells of the sept rang. The city smelled of rain and smoke, and somewhere far south, Myrcella Baratheon slept beneath orange trees with guards at her door, unaware that the people who claimed to love her were already discussing whether love was worth more than victory. Doran received the first secret message from across the narrow sea on a night when the wind was too still. It came not by raven. Ravens were too easily intercepted now, but by ship, carried in the pocket of a sailor who had the look of a man who wanted to be anywhere else in the world. He was brought into Doran's private study beneath heavy guard, his hands shaking as he offered a small, sealed tube of lacquered wood. No name, the sailor whispered.
No seal.
Only this. Hoda took it first, holding it as if it were a snake. He examined the wood, the seam, the wax hidden beneath. He nodded once to Doran. Doran broke the seal and slid the parchment free. The writing was tight, careful, done by a hand trained to keep secrets. Doran read once, then again. His face did not change, but his eyes deepened, as if the words pulled an old plan forward from the shadows. Arianne sat across from him, watching. Oberyn paced near the window like a restless storm. Ellaria stood near the wall, arms crossed, her gaze fixed on Doran's hands. What is it? Oberyn demanded finally, impatience cracking through. Doran did not answer immediately. He folded the parchment slowly, as if the act itself was a kind of caution. It is confirmation, he said softly. Arianne leaned forward. Confirmation of what? She pressed. Doran's gaze lifted to his daughter. That the world is changing beyond Westeros, he said. That the Lion's War is not the only war. Oberyn's smile sharpened. Dragons, he guessed, and his voice held hunger. Doran's eyes remained steady. A dragon, he corrected. Or the promise of one. Arianne's breath caught. Daenerys Targaryen, she whispered. Doran did not deny it. There are movements, he said. Ships gathering, envoys traveling, names spoken in Volantis and Pentos and Myr. Oberyn stopped pacing. Then we should call her, he said immediately. We should bind her to us now, while the realm is distracted. Doran's gaze hardened slightly. We do not bind dragons, he said softly. We offer them reason. Arianne's voice was quick. We offer Myrcella's claim as leverage, she said, mind racing. We offer ships, Beerman, the south, and we offer vengeance, Oberyn added, eyes bright. A dragon queen will like vengeance. Ellaria's voice slipped in, quiet and wary. A dragon queen will like power, she corrected. Vengeance is just a flavor of it. Doran's gaze held hers. Yes, he said, power. Which is why we must be careful. Oberyn's laugh was soft, sharp. Careful, he repeated. Brother, if you say careful again, I will start bleeding from the tongue. Arianne's eyes flashed. Uncle, she warned, half amused, half anxious. Doran did not react to Oberyn's barb. He looked down at the folded parchment again. The message says the queen is not yet in Westeros, he said. But she will come. When she does, the realm will fracture again. Oberyn's smile widened. Good, he murmured. Let it fracture. Let Tywin try to hold broken glass. Hoda's voice was flat. If dragons come, he said, the war changes. Doran nodded slightly. Yes, he agreed. It becomes larger than Elia. Oberyn's expression tightened at that. Nothing is larger than Elia, he said, and there was raw pain beneath his fury. Doran's eyes softened a fraction. To us, he said gently. No. But to the realm, dragons are a storm that drowns smaller storms. Arianne leaned forward, voice low. Then we must make sure Elia's blood is not forgotten in the dragon's shadow, she said. Doran's gaze held hers, proud and heavy. Yes, he said. That is why we move now. Not only with spears, but with alliances. Oberyn's eyes glittered. So you will send someone, he pressed. Doran hesitated only a heartbeat. Yes, he said. An envoy. Quiet. Fast. Someone who can speak for Dorne without begging. Arianne's chin lifted. Me, she said immediately. Oberyn smiled. Of course, he murmured. The princess with fire in her veins. Doran's gaze sharpened. Not yet, he said softly. The blockade tightens. The passes are under pressure. If you leave now, Arianne, you may not return. Arianne's jaw clenched. Then send someone else, she snapped. Doran's eyes turned to Nymeria Sand when she stepped into the room, silent as shadow. She had been listening, she always did. I can go, Nymeria said lightly, as if offering to fetch wine. I speak tongues. I know ports. I know how to vanish. Tywin appeared behind her, serene. And I can keep her safe, she murmured. Oberyn's gaze flicked between his daughters, pride and worry tangled. Fine, he said. Send Nymeria. Let her whisper in dragon ears. Doran nodded once. Prepare, he instructed. Quietly, outside the study, the palace slept uneasy. The smell of orange blossoms mixed with the distant salt of the sea, and the still wind felt like the pause before thunder. Doran looked at the folded message one last time and felt the old plan he had carried for years shift into something sharper, more immediate. Tywin Lannister was tightening a noose around Dorne. Beyond the sea, a dragon queen was learning to tighten nooses around cities. Soon, all the nooses would pull at once. And somewhere between them, in sunlit Dorne, a child wore a crown she did not want while men decided whether her life was worth less than the chance to win. Doran closed his eyes briefly, then opened them again. We endure, he whispered. Oberyn's smile was a blade. And we strike, he answered. In the silence that followed, the sea breathed against the shore like a patient beast. War was no longer only Westeros's. It was becoming the world's.